The Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Frank Cusimano with Jill Farmer, Connor McCarthy. We're here till 12. Royal Banks of Missouri text line, 84126. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. Good guest list lined up today. Sarah Fensky, the executive editor of St. Louis Magazine. Greg Willard, the outstanding former law professor and current law professor, I should say, still teaches a little bit at St. Louis University. He's going to be here at 11 o'clock, and some great guests coming tomorrow. The United States Senator Eric Schmidt, and on Monday, Brian Williams, who is trying to become, he is a state senator, he's trying to become the county executive. He has a great story to tell, a real compelling guy, and we're excited about bringing in the movers and the shakers here on the Frank and Jill Show. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
What you been doing the last 24 hours since we last were together?
Spent some time in quality Lower Arnold, L.A.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Yeah, just unbelievable. He's just, Kenny Wallace we're talking about. This garage sale he's going to have has over 1,000 items.
Is garage sale really the best way to title what this is? Isn't it sort of a memorabilia auction of some
Well,
sorts?
I don't know. You know what he's doing, too? Is he has these, like, dress shirts that he wore on television for Fox Sports. And he says, and they look like they were custom made, really sharp, that PK cotton. And they cost $200, and he's selling them for $2.
Did you find any that you...
Kind of a different size, but I should have looked, yeah. And then just all sorts of just crazy stuff. But the big thing will be the NASCAR fire suits that he actually wore in the car, you know, in some of these big NASCAR events. So he was a trip.
Are they the kind of thing that a collector would hold on to as
so,
memorabilia,
yeah.
or would they use it if they were doing a little bit of racing on dirt tracks and other places themselves?
I think they're more for a collector's item. You can just hang them up.
We own one of those fire suits at our house.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I've never donned it. I've never been in a vehicle that was necessary.
Because your husband wears it.
He does. He does a thing the last few years, and he's done some different kinds of racing and things through the years, but he has done something called 24 Hours of Lemons as opposed to 24 Hours of Le Mans. And it's just a very fun race. They do them regionally around the country. He's going to be heading up to Wisconsin for one in a few weeks, and he's looking very much forward to it.
Right. I couldn't picture you in one of those fire suits, although we did have the women that went on that trip. Where did they go? They went in outer space. Mm-hmm. Who were those? It was a bunch of celebrities.
Katy Perry,
yes.
Yep. Gail King, yep.
Yeah, and they kind of considered themselves astronauts there.
Yes, they were not fire suits they had on. Those were more like form-fitting Wonder Woman. They look more like what Lindsay Wagner was wearing back when she was the Bionic Woman. They were that kind of a...
I wonder how many people got that reference. Connor, have you ever heard of the Bionic Woman?
I have not. I was about to look it up.
Yeah, how about $6 Million Man?
I've heard of that one,
Lee
but
Majors?
I haven't seen the show.
So when we were kids in the 70s, they were these shows where people that they're humans, but they nearly died, but science was able to make them bionic.
Sure, we can rebuild him.
Yes,
yeah.
and so they could do superhuman things, but not in a superhero way. It was science that created their superhumanness, and it was good TV right up there with Charlie's Angels.
Yes, Lee Majors. Speaking of Charlie Angels, Lee Majors, who played the $6 Million Man, he was married to Farrah Fawcett.
Yep.
He was one of them. Yeah, and then Ryan O'Neal.
Yeah, but she always said Lee Majors was her true love.
Yeah, Ryan O'Neal. They had some issues.
I think maybe she and Lee Majors did too. I mean, they were so popular in that era and so much in the public eye, and it's just a lot of pressure, I think.
Yeah. Boy, that Charlie's Angels stretch. I wonder what they were doing ratings-wise. Gosh, I don't know anybody who didn't watch it, right?
Oh, every week. I mean, it was talk about must-see television.
Jacqueline Smith, Kate Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacqueline Smith came to Channel 5. I think I mentioned this once, and Mike Bush and I couldn't get out a word. It was just...
I mean, the amount of crime fighting they did with absolutely perfect and impeccable hair.
Yes.
It was shocking. It was fun. It was really fun. And I actually kind of liked the movie remakes, too. I know they were not particularly critically acclaimed, but there was a little bit of a nostalgia reboot with all of those that I thought were kind of fun.
Now, do you remember the fourth one, who replaced Farrah?
Oh, yes,
Cheryl
Cheryl Ladd. Yeah.
She was strong. Yeah.
Yes. I think.
Wonderful actress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you a Charlene Tilton fan too?
No,
Now that we're going back
Dallas-
to the 70s
No, but
and
a
80s.
big, huge Patricia Heaton. Not Patricia Heaton.
Well, you were
Victoria
Patricia Heaton.
Principal on Dallas.
Yes.
That was the one on Dallas. She was, wow. Anyway, the big sports item again today, as it has been for the last 3 days, Jill, is everybody waiting with bated breath about the Mizzou quarterback announcement. I just talked to a person in the athletic department moments ago. Might be an announcement later today. Drink said he'd tell the team today. So I had to call one of the players on the team and get a little insight here. I don't know if he'd tell me or not.
That's a great way to do it, though, to feel like that they have the
Yes.
first piece of information. That's empowering for them to feel like they know about it and have a chance to adjust before the rest of the world does.
So practice today is scheduled for late afternoon. So if it's something that has to be announced to the team first, probably we could hear in the 4 to 5 range. But if it's going to be the competition will continue against University of Central Arkansas and play them both and not make that final decision until the Kansas game, then who knows what's going to happen here.
And forgive me if this is a completely elementary question, but do you treat Central Arkansas like it's a preseason NFL game so you do try out both, or would that be a coaching mistake?
Well, I think the logic in doing that is you play them both, so Kansas, who will be your first real big game the next week, doesn't have a good idea who to prepare for if you play them both evenly. And we know coaches like to be sly like that, so we'll see.
That's right. A lot of coaches, I think, we always talk about Howard Richards leaving the NFL and going to work for the CIA. I think a lot of our current college coaches could go have a second career in the CIA, as secretive as they are these days, about letting anyone know what they're up to.
Yeah. All right, let's have our first break. When we come back, we'll have the opening dialogue on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Cancer. We need a cure.
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 That's why the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer and the Big 550 KTRS are teaming up to help fight cancer with the 15th annual KTRS Radiothon. Thursday, August 21st, all day long, we'll be helping raise funds to find a cure and help treat cancer victims and their families. All money raised stays right here in St. Louis. You can help right now and be entered for a chance to win a once-in-a-lifetime Masters golf experience. Go to KTRS.com and look for the KTRS Radiothon banner for details. With a $200 donation, you'll receive 3 entries in the drawing for a chance to win a trip for 2 to the 2026 Masters last day on a private jet. Trip includes round-trip flight, transportation to and from Augusta National, tickets to the prestigious Masters with food and beverages included. Plus, you'll also receive 4 St. Louis Cardinals tickets to the September 16th game versus the Cincinnati Reds, 2 tickets to a Blues preseason game, and 2 tickets to City 2's game at Energizer Park on September 12th. And all for your $200 tax-deductible donation to the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer KTRS Radiothon. The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon is a service of the Big 550 KTRS Cares and presented by
United Healthcare, St. Paul GM Country, Eldon Indoor Air Quality Specialists, Mosses of St. Charles, Lisi Lumber, and Ott Law Firm.
When it's time to shop for your next pair of shoes, consider New Balance St. Louis. We have a large selection of styles and sizes to help you find the perfect fit. See for yourself why New Balance is a preferred athletic brand by medical professionals. Our fit pros are knowledgeable and take the time to understand your specific goals and activities. Customer service, selection, and style makes all the difference when selecting your footwear. Visit us in Creve Coeur and Richmond Heights. New Balance St. Louis, nationally known, locally owned.
For all of your travel needs, you go to the best travel agency in the world. Granted, I'm a little biased. Altair Travel and Cruises. They'll take you wherever you want to go in style. They'll handle all the details. You handle all the fun. Don't go to the Googles. Don't make that mistake. It all starts at Altair Travel and Cruises on Brentwood Boulevard, 314-968-9600. Anywhere you want to go, let Altair Travel take you. AltairTravel.com.
The beauty in
Forest Park.
Jersey Boys, the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, closes the Muni season in style through August 24th. Sponsored by Commerce Bank and Commerce Trust. For tickets, visit muni.org.
The 37th Midwest Salute to the Arts invites you to a 3-day outdoor arts festival at Moody Park in Fairview Heights, Illinois, August 22nd through the 24th. Visitors can immerse themselves in a celebration of art, enjoy local food vendors, and a kids' creation station. Also, join us for Uncommon Collaboration, an exploration of contemporary sculpture exhibit, in partnership with Art Village Fairview. For more information, visit MidwestSalute.com. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you. bishopspost.com.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS.
Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy. We're excited around here, not just because it's National Radio Day, a cause for great celebration, but the 15th annual Radiothon is going to go tomorrow. We're very excited. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Going to raise some serious money for the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer. And guess what? We're starting a little early because we got really excited, and that's because we have such an incredible auction item to start with. The ultimate sports ticket, 2 tickets to just about every sporting event you can think of, from St. Louis City to Mizzou to Blues, Stiefel, SLU basketball, St. Louis Ambush, Battlehawks, Cardinals, and then 2 VIP tickets to Guns N' Hoses with food and beverages. Right now, the bid stands at $1,200. Frank and I really would like to kick McGraw's behind and get our bid up from our loyal listeners this hour. So if you are interested in getting this incredible package, all you have to do is right now text your bid to 84126, Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Put tickets first. That's very important. Put tickets first, your name, and your bid, as long as it's over $1,200. We can't wait to see these roll in.
All right, here we go. Thought one. So the police are not perfect, but a high percentage of them are really, really good people who sacrifice their lives to keep us safe. The problem is when there's video that appears on television, it usually makes them look bad. And some of them are guilty and they should be fired. But you have got to see this video of this whacked out woman in Newport, Rhode Island. And then you think to yourself, these poor cops have to put up with a lot of junk. So this woman is all dressed up in this elegant dress, and she's an assistant attorney general. Her name is Devin Alexander. Officers approached her because a restaurant booted her out. She says, quote, "I want you to turn off your body cam. Protocol is that you turn it off if a citizen requests that you turn it off," end quote. I'm actually not aware of that ruling. Anyway, a woman is right there saying, she's a lawyer, she's a lawyer. Well, let's just pick up some of the action. Oh, my goodness. So the restaurant staff told police they wanted her to be removed. He just said, "I need them out." The officer says, "I don't want to arrest you guys." That was the first thing he said. "I don't want to arrest you guys." And she says, "You're not going to arrest us." Then the officer took out his handcuffs. She starts yelling, "I'm an AG, I'm an AG," Attorney General. "You're going to regret this. You're going to regret this." And she goes completely psycho, as you just heard, when they try to put her in the police car. It lasted, I don't know how long it lasted. It felt like 2 minutes or something. She stretched her legs out like a little toddler so they couldn't completely shut the door for a while. If the head attorney general doesn't fire this whacked out woman right away, I'd be disappointed. The restaurant wanted her out, the police just doing their job. You know, there's nothing worse in life than entitled people who play the "do you know who I am" card. I'm the attorney general. Well, you're probably the ex-attorney general. And oh, by the way, you're an assistant attorney general. What a freaking story.
34 years old. That's one of those. There was some complaint over happy hour or something. Alcohol definitely had to be involved. And this is going to be a big pivot for her career. I think we can pretty easily say. I don't think anybody illegally flashed any badges, though, to pretend that they were something that they're not. So
Is that a shot?
Or are you worried your son's gonna pull the I'm in the circuit attorney's office card?
He doesn't even tell anybody his last name. Okay. So yeah.
Back at home here, NGA primarily stands for National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. If you're like me, keep hearing all the talk about the NGA. You know, it was supposed to be really good for this area that had once been rather blighted in north of downtown. It's time to start really paying attention to this. It's really happening, people. So again, it stands for National Geospatial Intelligence, a combat support agency within the U.S. Department of Defense, doing some important work for our military, happening right here in St. Louis. It was a big get, of course, when we got this contract, and there's been a lot of talk about it for a while, but now it is happening, and lots of other things are happening somewhat behind the scenes that I think we need to be aware of as well on the good side of things in St. Louis. A big company named Scale AI is putting a state-of-the-art AI center in downtown, part of this effort to capitalize on NGA's looming move to North City. And they're going into the old Post-Dispatch building, which, of course, pretty sad that had emptied out and was leaving a spot there. I think that's very good news. I also heard recently from city officials that hasn't gotten much play yet that we will be, other than Washington, D.C., we're going to have a couple of, one of the only other locations in the world for high-level security for companies who do work with the NGA. So instead of companies having to go to D.C. now, we have gotten that contract. The old side of the NGA is being looked at by the city as potentially being converted into affordable housing, potentially even options for people who were displaced by the tornadoes. It's something under consideration by city, state, and federal leaders right now.
The old Post-Dispatch building did they move out of that? I mean, how long ago did they move out?
A while.
I drive by it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, bits and pieces, of course, and published.
Is there anybody
the
there?
Printing moved out. No, it has been in need of a tenant, so it's good news.
I should know this. I wonder, so the writers have really no office. There's no space where they go in at all.
I believe they do, yeah, but it's just not, the old building is not what it used to be back when those guys would all go over to the Missouri bar across the street.
Yes.
And it's in a beautiful old building up there by the former Bissinger's headquarters.
Yeah, it's a good story. All right, thought two. So I have a question and then a thought. If you were wealthy and could add something like great to your life, what would it be? I used to think having a chef and just eating healthy, eating really tasty every meal, it'd be really cool to have a chef. Or would it be cool to have your own pickleball court in your backyard? Or like Jill and John, where they buy new expensive boats all the time. You know what would be for me, though? To have enough land where all your kids and grandkids could build on it and have like a compound where you could walk 50 yards and see Zoe, or you could walk the other way and you could see Kennedy. Like where we were yesterday, Kenny Wallace has kind of like a compound. Now Dave Stewart has an unbelievable compound where his son built on that land, and so they're all together. But Kenny Wallace, not quite the same, but it's in L.A., Lower Arnold, and he has this big plot of land, and he has this incredible garage that feels like an apartment on one side and then a place to work on cars on the other. You could like live in the other half. And then he has a wonderful home on another part of the land. So I think that's really kind of a cool way. Technically, his kids don't live there. One of his son-in-laws works there. But there's enough area that, you know, if the kids are coming, if they're from out of town, you just stay in that, you know, the apartment part of it. So the question is, what would be the luxury if you could afford one, you would want in your life? For me, just a big plot of land where you could build, 3 or 4 houses.
Yeah, I think as we go down the pathway of life and our kids are building their families, the idea of having a place where everybody can come and sort of vacation together, hang out together, relax together, even beyond just that
Seems
house.
like the only people that have those kind of or live in the same houses as adults with multi-generations is like on Dallas or Dynasty. They all live in one house. I don't know many like Americans, regular people, but I'm not saying you should live in the same house, but to be in like one big, huge thing of land and all have
right. And now many cultures do that, and we've had some friends who were physicians and things whose parents originally came from places like India and parts of Asia, where as parents age, it is traditional for them to live in the same house as the kids. And there's, I think, some benefits.
Sure, moving back in is one thing, though. Yeah. I think I know what Frank's talking about. That's still a little different to me. I will say Josh Gilbert essentially lives this life. They all live in the same neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It's not they don't own a compound, but they all live in Newtown. Like him, his sister, his brother, his parents, they all live in the same neighborhood.
Oh my gosh!
So you got to talk to him about it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. He said once the migration had begun with certain members of the family, it sort of just made a lot of sense for everybody.
Well, I think he really uses it for childcare.
Yes,
that's the biggest advantage.
Trust me, as having raised kids in a town where we did not have parents close by, even though we're very close to our parents, we did not have that ability. That makes a ton of sense.
But what would be your luxury if it's? A lot of people are going to be against the compound. But what would be? You had some.
For me, it would be travel with my entire family, going to places that just were incredible, that created really big memories that we learned a ton about, maybe had a positive impact on where we went, and that we could just do that in unlimited fashion.
Somebody along those lines, not completely the same, says private airplane availability. That's pretty good. That's good. Connor, you got one?
For what I would buy if I'm rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go something stupid like that, like an airplane, even though I don't know what I would use it for. I think that'd be great because I don't like flying on the big commercial planes. So I think the plane, actually, now that you said that, that's probably what I'm going with.
Yeah, sparked a very good
Don't know how
idea.
often I would use that.
Okay, so imagine you were accused of murder and you'd gone to trial and you were awaiting the jury decision, and this is what happened. Oops. Kind of an important word was left out originally. This happened in Georgia. Of course, it was corrected, but it reminded me of that time Steve Harvey in 2015 announced the winner at the Miss Universe pageant. And then, of course, there was the Oscars Best Picture mix-up in 2017 when Faye Dunaway, Warren Beatty announced the wrong picture for Best Picture. Back in 1993, the Grammy Awards, it was awarded to Luther Vandross, and then, it was actually supposed to be Boyz II Men. It just, those famous gaffes, if you will, or flubs, they make for good television and good stories. Yogi Berra, of course, was great at the flub. He hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious instead of ambidextrous. It's the heat. It's not the heat, it's the humility. Tony Abbott, the former Australian Prime Minister, once stated that no one is the suppository of all wisdom instead of repository or depository. Mike Tyson is one of my favorites. I may fade into Bolivian instead of oblivion. What famous flubs do you guys have on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126 that we have forgotten about?
Yeah, well, the Steve Harvey one, I think, takes the cake. That's unbelievable. All right, thought 3 for me. I have to recommend something for you on TV, and it's just unbelievable. It's about the Dallas Cowboys. It's a documentary. It was released last night. Great testament is Monique usually falls asleep at anything I'm watching sports-wise at 11:30. She watched 3 episodes with me and did not. We were up till 12:45. It's so unbelievable. The star power. I mean, George Bush, a former president, helps to tell the story. The story of the gusher, how he Jerry Jones was in trouble. And then he got the gusher and the way he described it, and that $100 million helped him buy the Cowboys. He knew then he could buy the Cowboys because of that one hit. Bernie Miklasz, by the way, had a cutaway at a press conference. Tom Landry parade was for him after he was fired. They reported there were 100,000 people in Dallas for a parade for the fired Dallas coach when Jerry Jones fired him to hire Jimmy Johnson. The star power of broadcasters, Bill O'Reilly, Sam Donaldson, Al Michaels, they had a 1-in-15 season. We got a kick out of this show. They had a 1-in-15 season when Jimmy Johnson took over, and he knew he had to give 100% of his life to turning around the Dallas Cowboys. So what did he do? He ditched his wife of 26 years so he could lock in. I'm sure that wasn't the only reason, but that happened right after the 1-in-15 season. Then he got lucky, and he got Emmitt Smith at the 17th pick. And all these quotes from players to illustrate what a psycho Jimmy Johnson was. Jimmy Johnson was a complete blank hole. That was said like by 3 different players. Charles Haley, the guy they acquired from the 49ers, actually urinated on the general manager's desk in San Francisco when he got fed up with the organization. And then this is the best. Is Jimmy Johnson, this cutthroat, unbelievable coach, he says, people say one of the hardest things to do for a head football coach is to cut a player. I don't think it is. I mean, it is just, there's not a bad soundbite in this whole documentary. And I'm 3 episodes in. I recommend it highly. Even if you're not a sports fan, it's like The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. It is unbelievable.
Fun. And how many episodes are there total? Do you know?
I do not, but I'm 3 in, and I can't wait to get back tonight.
He got a little cough this afternoon. You might have to miss your time at the early shows at the station today. Jimmy Fialum, the man behind the great St. Louis restaurants, The Crossing, Achera. He mentioned to us when he was in studio last week that he imports flour from Italy to make their homemade bread and pasta. He said many of their clients say they struggle with gluten issues like gut problems, brain fog, but they find that they can eat the bread and pasta at these 2 St. Louis eateries, and so it's important to him to do that. We talked about the fact that many people have been saying for years when they go to Italy, they can eat that bread and pasta for no problem. Story in the New York Times today, talking to some of the top people in the country when it comes to gut health, and they say, absolutely, we think this is true. They give a couple of reasons, which I thought were fairly interesting. Number one, the wheat is different. There's this thing called hard flour and soft flour. Italy uses mostly soft flour. We use mostly hard flour, which has more gluten. Dough is fermented longer. In most European countries, but particularly Italy, they take a longer and slower time to ferment the dough, which impacts the way that the gluten is processed. And number 3, the bread in Europe has fewer additives. Because we're in a bigger hurry here in the United States and we don't ferment or rise the bread, we add additives to do those things that would otherwise happen when you are fermenting more slowly. I thought that was kind of interesting. He brought it up to us, and I thought, wow, that's really going the extra mile for these customers, and there seems to be some science backing it up as well.
And that's why when you go to Italy and you do eat a lot, part of the reason you don't gain weight is you walk a lot, but the other part is it's so much healthier, and you don't have gut issues, and it's the way food should be eaten.
Back to what we talked about with Dr. Rick yesterday, and it's more, the closer we are to food's more original form, I guess, the better off we all are in the long run, despite the fact that I'm as guilty as anybody else as the convenience of foods. Well, something that is very convenient but extremely good for you is Capital Advisory Group. Our friend Jeff Zufall and the team at Capital Advisory Group are excellent at helping you make sure that you have the nest egg you need to live comfortably and do what your dreams are in this season of your life. He's also great at making sure that you're not overpaying on your taxes, and that's because he is a senior tax strategist. He cares a lot about making sure that you think about taxes as part of your wealth strategy, something a lot of people skip, even in the wealth industry, and he wants to make sure that you keep it top of mind, and that's why he is so good at what he does. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com, 636-394-5524.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. An isolated storm or two possible into the early evening. Those will fade with sunset and then a low of 73. We break the heat wave with a high of 87 on Wednesday. It is still a bit muggy, heat index to around 90, but again, much better than what we've been dealing with the past 5 days. And then on Thursday, partly cloudy skies and a high of 85 degrees, a few degrees below normal. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Bill Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Head to the stadium on Saturday, September 6th when the Birds host the Giants. 20,000 fans, 16 and older, will score a limited edition Hall of Fame baseball card shirt thanks to Edward Jones. This all-over print shirt features McGee, Forsch, Tudor, Coleman, the Wizard, Whitey, and her. It's a giveaway you won't want to miss. That's Saturday, September 6th. Get tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Willie McGee, St. Louis Cardinals for the Loop.
Meet me at the Village Bar. Ready for the world's best cheeseburger, homemade onion rings, trashed wings? It's the Village Bar for food and sports. Cards, Blues, Mizzou, NFL, the game's always on. Open 7 days a week in De Pere. Grab your friends, grab a cold beer. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment. A moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen. A moment to find your dream, or build one. A moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Imagine feeling trapped, helpless, and afraid. That's what partner abuse creates. Alive is here to make sure that you get the help for yourself, your children, and your pets. Hi, this is Guy Phillips inviting you to participate in Alive's annual golf tournament and auction September 8th at the beautiful Legends Golf Course. Gather a foursome, sponsor a hole, or just make a donation. And all donations get a Missouri tax credit of 70%. Get all the information at alivestl.org. Together, we'll end the cycle of abuse.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. Summer may be winding down, but that means the great weather is moving in. Time to get the convertibles, motorcycles, and sports cars out. We're selling them at a brisk pace. As a result, we need to buy even more of them. You have a very clean, classic, collectible, convertible, sports car, or even an everyday car you want to sell. How about an entire collection? We'll buy it all. And if we're buying them, of course we sell them too. Check out our site for some of the finest hand-picked vehicles for sale in the country. Ours are that good. Give us a look. It'll be worth your time.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids.
To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126.
The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Klaus Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
Welcome back, everybody. 1041 time check. You're listening to KTRS, the Big 550, the talk of St. Louis. This is the Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy here as well. It is Wednesday, which means it is time to talk to our friend Sarah Fenske, executive editor of St. Louis Magazine, editor of the St. Louis Daily Newsletter, host of the 314 podcast. Finally, it's been a slow news month, Sarah, but wow, lots of stuff popping this week. We have a new announcement from the governor that we've got a new attorney general coming as our current attorney general moves to Washington.
Yeah, this is some pretty big news. I think Catherine Hanaway is very much known and respected quality in St. Louis. People have worked with her for years. She certainly seems like she's the most qualified attorney general coming into this office that we have had as long as I could figure out. I mean, this goes decades. You can't find somebody who comes in with this level of experience. So this seems like it could be a really good thing for the state.
So an eventful day for Wesley Bell as he holds his first town hall since being elected to Congress. Tell our listeners what happened.
Yeah, this thing got wild. So Ryan Kroll was there, my colleague, and he texted me maybe 30 minutes in. He said, I don't know if this event can actually take place. He said these protests are drowning things out to the point that everybody might just have to go home. Well, he was slightly ahead of himself on that. That didn't end up happening. But throughout the course of this town hall, there was protester after protester. There was disruption after disruption. The people running this event kind of tried everything to get it back on track. They never really achieved that. Ryan gave Wesley Bell props for he kept his cool. He engaged with these protesters. But ultimately, it just dominated the entire night. Ryan talked to some people leaving who were like, I wish we could have talked about X or Y. There really wasn't a chance to talk about very much that wasn't the war in Gaza. That's obviously not the preferred topic of choice for Wesley Bell. I think it was not what he was hoping would happen at his first town hall, but there you have it.
I'm sitting across from one of St. Louis Magazine's A-list award winners this year for Best Sportscaster, according to the hundreds of thousands of readers of St. Louis Magazine. You guys also created a list of 10 people shaping the St. Louis region. Of course, we knew a couple of them. The attorney Gabe Gore, for instance, the chief of staff for Mayor Kara Spencer, Casey Milberg. Some of the other names were new to me. What stood out to you about this list? You were, I guess, one of the creators of it as the editors put it together.
Yeah, we sat down with the people who covered news, and we had some long conversations about, okay, who really is shaping the region? We realized that's a mix of business leaders, it's a mix of people who are working in government, and it's also a mix of people who are working in nonprofits. I think the tornado really revealed, if we hadn't already been aware of it, just how important it is to have these non-governmental organizations that have expertise in various areas. So, for example, on here, we had the executive director of Forest Relief. What they have been doing is spending the last few years just planting trees all over the metro area. The fact that they did that puts us in much better shape coming out of this tornado. Those trees already have a 3 or 4 year jump on all the ones that we lost, which in many cases were 100 years old. So that's more of an outside-the-box choice, but I think anybody who has realized how much they appreciate the tree canopy, they can agree with us on that. We also, we had on here Ryan McClure, who's the executive director of the Gateway Arch Park Foundation. Not only did they pull off this big re-envisioning of the area around the Gateway Arch, but now he's starting to lead conversations on, okay, can we get this highway out of the middle of downtown St. Louis? That feels like one of the most exciting and important conversations going on right now. So it's an interesting mix of 10 people. You can read all about it at stlmag.com. And, I really think these are some people that give me great hope. They're working on important things. They're doing it with a lot of energy and creativity. And if St. Louis can get its act together, it's going to be because of people like these 10.
So on the A-list, which of the categories garners the most buzz? I'm thinking in this restaurant crazy city we live in, it would be the food items, or you tell me.
Yeah, I want to say it would be the best sportscaster. That would be the one everybody's talking about. There are a lot of people who care about that one. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely the food categories. Everybody has an opinion on those. Everybody wants to see who wins. The places that end up coming out on top, they see a bump from that. If you've got the best burger in town, that's something that people want to go try that for themselves. So I feel like the food coverage at St. Louis Magazine, this is totally leading the way, and the rest of us are just sort of clinging to its coattails and happy to have a job.
Anyone who was a music fan in St. Louis and went to a concert probably any time in the last 20 years would have known about superfan Ralph Morse. He was a fixture, and the bands always loved him, standing up front, and he died rather tragically earlier this year. Musicians are coming together to do something in honor of him. Tell us about that.
I was so happy to find out that this was happening at the pageant. They've pulled together so many great local artists. That includes Neil Salsage, who's just a terrific guy and now has a national profile through being on TV. Emily Wallace, who's this great singer-songwriter. El Monstero, that does these big sold-out concerts. The Funky Butt Brass Band, they can normally command 5 figures for a gig that they play. Everybody came together to say, we are all going to play this one show on this one night. In some cases, they're just going to play a couple songs, but everybody sort of left their egos at the door and agreed to do this benefit concert where the proceeds are going entirely to some of Ralph Morris's favorite causes, which I think is just so lovely. It's a night of music that he would have loved to see, and all these bands that could be charging so much just saying, we're going to play this show for free because we appreciated this guy. That's something every fan, I think, should aspire to people feeling about that way when they're gone.
So you wrote about it, and we've had text about it this morning here at KTRS about the big announcement that the local media powerhouse Nexstar is purchasing Tegna. So the company that owns Channel 2 and Channel 11 is now purchasing the company that owns Channel 5. And I think you accurately write there is some anxiousness in the newsroom because people don't know. And I don't think anybody knows as we wake up today what it's going to look like. We hope that because we've been around for a long time at Channel 5 that we'd remain doing what we do, but you just never know when these corporations get involved.
Yeah, I mean, I hope, as a journalist, I want more local journalists out there covering the news. And this sort of thing, in my experience and in the experience of the people who know the TV industry better that my colleague Ryan Kroll talked to, that just never seems to be the result of this. It seems to be that what happens is journalists lose their jobs. They say, okay, we don't need 2 separate reporters covering City Hall. We can have one do it and share the content between these 2 stations. There were FCC rules that prohibited this type of combination in the same market. If one big company wanted to buy the other, they had to sell their station in the market where they would then own, say, 3 stations. It appears that rule is crumbling fast, and I think that that's a bad thing. I get the philosophy behind it crumbling, like the competitors aren't just other TV stations. There's also all this stuff online, and everybody just being a citizen journalist putting their stuff on Facebook, and broadcasters have to stay competitive. But I think this is a very bad thing for professional journalists, for journalists who are paid to get to the bottom of things. I don't see how we come out of this with as many of those as we have today.
Sarah Fensky, as always, we really appreciate your insights. You got something coming up new on the 314 podcast tomorrow?
Yeah, we actually have, I think, a podcast interview that I'm really proud of. I interviewed somebody who is very important. I'm not going to say who this person is today. I won't even give you guys the sneak peek. They are the winner of the Visionary Award that comes out in this year's A-List. And so this is someone we think is doing really important work, and they talked about what is ahead for them. I think it's something St. Louis needs to be paying attention to.
We'll check it out. As always, thanks so much. Executive Editor, St. Louis Magazine, editor of the St. Louis Daily Newsletter, Sarah Fensky. Great to have you as always.
Thank you.
Miller Furniture, our friends with their 4 locations in Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, the Meadows, Ellisville, and of course the flagship store in Belleville. Very busy because it has started the incredible Labor Day clearance event. It's going on now through September 19th, and this is huge. You can save 75% off all in-stock furniture, plus select custom orders, plus 40% off Stickley furniture off the sticker price, which of course is one of the highest highest quality brands of furniture that exists out there. And of course, Miller Furniture carries 99.9% of all their furniture is very high quality American-made furniture. So even the luxury brands like Chatham & Wells, half off their luxury mattresses, easier for me to say, with the purchase of an adjustable base. Check it all out at millerfurniture.com. That's MUELLER furniture.com, and then make plans between now and this weekend to do some major furniture shopping at Miller.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Every day another adventure. Our greatest discoveries come when we stop searching. Beneath the endless sky, away from the stress of work, the answer to the ancient Zen mystery, the sound of one hand clapping. Take a trip in an RV from Byerly in Eureka.
For the rest of your life, you gotta be there. Byerly RV.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
Congratulations to John Beal Roofing. Want to give them a shout out. They've been a sponsor of the show through thick and through thin for coming up on 20 years. And their message has remained the same all these 20 years. Make sure you call someone local. With all the storms that have been in the area over the last couple of months, it's been busy, and a lot of out-of-towners are coming in. They sure are nice, but you know what? They'll take half your money, and you never see them again. Somebody from the insurance industry told me, make sure you call local. I told them I was well-schooled. John Beal Roofing will guarantee you the best price. They'll work with your insurance company to make sure you get the claim you deserve to fix it and fix it right. Roofing, siding, gutters, all storm damage, John Beal Roofing will take care of it. Keep it local and keep it John Beal. Keep it in the family for 20-plus years. John Beal Roofing, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. Or johnbillroofing.com.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at SchneiderJobs.com.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids.
To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126.
The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Cloud Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
This is Mariah, 3rd generation at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newstetter's, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna has been delivering the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a team puts their trust in Kuna, they get a team that truly cares about their success. Check them out online today at kunafoodservice.com.
All right, welcome back. we have the 15th annual Radiothon kickoff. And we have this one package, I think it's probably the best thing. It's the Ultimate Sports Ticket, and it's going on right now. So you got to text your bid, 84126, because this is the steal of the century. Right now, it's only $1,200. You got to beat this. And if you do beat that number, 2 tickets to a City SC game, 2 tickets to Mizzou, to a Blues, to the Stiefel Charity Tournament, to Mizzou basketball, SLU basketball, Ambush game, St. Louis Battlehawks game, 2026 Cardinal game, and then 2 tickets to Guns N' Hoses with food and beverage. The value of this has to be at least $2,000. The bid is $1,200, 84126.
Yeah, I think it's even worth a little more than $2,000, so it's a good deal.
And they should text ticket and then their name and their bid. That's how they do it.
All right.
Come on, friends. This is for a very, very good cause. Hey, we have a great second hour coming up for you. Greg Willard, much to talk about happening in both local and state and national politics. Don't go away for that. And then we're going to talk about something a little later in the show called a silver tsunami. What is it? What does it have to do with the baby boomers? Find out after the news.
When your reputation's on the line, you don't leave anything to chance, especially your primer. Painters trust Kills primers for a smooth start, strong adhesion, and serious stain-blocking power. And now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results, faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner day.
Mizzou football.
It's a rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Hurricane Erin is more than 300 miles off the U.S. coast, but still posing a threat to the eastern seaboard. Surge warnings and watches, along with dangerous rip currents stretching up and down the east coast. In North Carolina's Outer Banks, communities are already seeing surge, and the governor has declared a state of emergency with evacuations also ordered. ABC's Ginger Z says Erin will be closest to the U.S. mainland tomorrow morning.
It's going to get breezier and breezier as Thursday goes on, all the way through Long Island, even Nantucket. As this thing pushes water toward the coast, like a big piece of machinery kind of pushing it there, it's going to pick up those waves, and that's why you get the surge.
In Texas this past hour, House lawmakers gavelled in, convened for roll call as the state Republicans push ahead to vote today on a measure to redraw the congressional maps that could give the GOP 5 seats ahead of the midterm elections. Last night, the state capitol was evacuated, authorities say due to a threat posted on social media. President Trump is working with European leaders, the White House says, on a security guarantee package for Ukraine and efforting a bilateral meeting between Ukraine's President Zelensky and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
The White House had said yesterday the reason to do it first as a bilateral meeting, just Putin and Zelensky, is because there are still areas of disagreement between the two countries and that they need to work it out at the negotiating table by themselves. Then the president would get involved.
The Israeli government is calling up more reservists for military operations in Gaza. Between 50 and 60,000 reservists will be needed, according to the IDF, as Israel continues to push to take over Gaza City.
Israel says taking over Gaza City is the best way to end the war and to end it quickly. But the UN Security Council has warned the move could prolong the conflict and would only worsen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
ABC's Maggie Ruley. You're listening to ABC News.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
I thought I'd book a trip to Italy to celebrate retiring.
We didn't speak Italian.
We didn't then. We do now. Because of Babbel.
Babbel is the refreshingly easy-to-use app for learning a new language. Babbel uses immersive lessons to teach you vocabulary and grammar in a way that sticks. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit CantorInjuryLaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer is responding to a recently released report of the city's failure to sound sirens before the deadly tornado on May 16th. Spencer said the issues identified in the report will help the city better understand and resolve the deeper problems in the emergency management system. The mayor did not give a comment when asked about a section in the report that said SEMA Commissioner Sarah Russell refused to recognize the agency's failures or take personal responsibility during her interview, only stating that what's in the report has merit. 5 people accused of a drug smuggling operation in the St. Louis area are in custody. Investigators say Christopher Taylor, Stan Times, Vincent Woods, Terry Smith, and Rene Garcia were arrested by federal authorities yesterday. All of the suspects have been indicted on drug-related charges. This case is part of Operation Take Back America, a nationwide initiative that marshals the full resources of the Department of Justice. Former prosecutor and Missouri House Speaker Catherine Hanaway will serve as Missouri's next Attorney General. Governor Mike Kehoe announced Hanaway's appointment yesterday after Andrew Bailey announced his resignation to serve as co-deputy director of the FBI. Hanaway says fighting crime is her top priority.
First and most important part of this job is to protect Missourians from anyone who would do violence against them, who would rip them off in financial schemes, who would abuse them through providing terrible care and getting paid by Medicaid, and anyone who would try to invade their constitutional rights. Working with local prosecutors, sheriffs, police, and the Highway Patrol, fighting crime is and will remain job one for this office.
Hanaway's appointment marks the first time a woman will serve as Attorney General in Missouri. She will begin her new role on September 8th. The Missouri House of Representatives has announced a series of hearings to be held across the state by the Special Interim Committee on Property Tax Reform. Committee Chair Tim Taylor encourages all Missourians to attend and share their perspectives about how the property tax system can better serve citizens. The St. Louis area meeting is today at 5:30 at the center of Clayton. The Illinois Commerce Commission is encouraging Ameren, Illinois customers to provide public comment on the utility's proposed natural gas rate increase during public hearings. A hearing in our region will be held on August 28th at New Life Community Church in East St. Louis from 7 until 9:30 in the evening. Illinois is taking steps to simplify the college admissions process. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story.
The state has launched One-Click College Admit. It's a statewide direct admissions program for Illinois public universities and community colleges. With One-Click College Admit, high school seniors and community college transfer students in Illinois will receive acceptance in the state's public universities by meeting only one qualification for admissions, a grade point average. The new program waives applications, application fees, essays, and letters of recommendations for students. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Right now on Wall Street, Dow Jones is down 85 points to 44,837. S&P 500 is down 41 points to 6,369. The Nasdaq is down 256 points to 21,058. KTRS Sports. The Cardinals won their second straight down in South Florida, 7-4 over the Marlins. Michael McGreevy pitched 6 strong innings to earn his 5th victory on the year. Andre Palante starts tonight against former Cardinal Sandy Alcantara. St. Louis City SC is sending out winger Zande Silva to the Israeli Premier League. Silva leaves on an international transfer after spending just 13 matches in City Red. KTRS weather today, a mix of sun and clouds, high of 87. Tonight, clear with an overnight low of 67. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 82. Currently, we have 81 degrees at 11:08. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
All right, we may interrupt the Carney show. We're going to go so long with our next guest. He is the best in the business. A professor at St. Louis University for 20 years, Greg Willard, still teaching classes there, and of course worked in the Ford administration. Good to be with you. How are you, sir?
Great to be with both of you.
All
Good
right,
to see you.
I really wanted to ask you this as soon as the story came out, because I can't think of anybody I'd rather get their opinion on than you on this. So here's the story. About students faking progressive views to appease college professors and get better grades. 2 professors said that they recently conducted research on the campuses of Northwestern and Michigan, and they found that 88% pretend to be more politically progressive than they actually are. Your reaction to that?
Couple things. Number one, sadly, I am not surprised. I think the sort of the sense has been the last few years, Frank, and now sounds like we're starting to get some empirical data, that that dynamic is happening on our college campuses. I don't care what your political persuasion is, that is sad. In contrast, I'm pleased to say, in my course, where it's a constitutional law course on presidential power, not only do they hear ideas with which they disagree, I assign them every week to advocate certain positions.
Even if they don't agree with it, hey, you take that side. They're going to be lawyers.
Yeah. And our first class was 2 days ago. And I said to them in my introductory remarks, if you are going to be triggered, I think that's the verb, if you're going to be triggered by hearing something or, God forbid, advocating something with which you disagree, there's the door. You need to get there pretty quickly. I've done this for 20 years. I have never had a problem, number one. And number two, the constant comment I get at the end of the semester from exposing them and having them advocate contrary views, the constant comment is, Professor, that was the best learning mechanism and experience I have ever had. That says it all for me.
It's good for our brains, and every human should be doing more of thinking about the other perspective, for sure.
One small follow-up, though. So professors would penalize students because they took a viewpoint opposite of that.
Well, and I think it's not an objective penalty, I think, Frank, if one could drill down behind the data, and this is sheer speculation on my part, but it's the B word, bias.
Yeah.
And I think, sadly, that bias has permeated many of our college campuses. And here's hoping, at least for my grandchildren, that somehow it gets turned around.
Let's talk a little bit closer to home. Andrew Bailey, Attorney General, heading off to Washington to take a position as deputy in the deputy director of the FBI. And then we have a new Attorney General coming in, appointed by Governor Kehoe. Would you compare and contrast how you think Catherine Hanaway will act as an Attorney General based on her past in Missouri politics, maybe compared to Andrew Bailey and then some of the other predecessors, Jay Nixon, of course, your friend Jack Danforth?
Well, I think, similar to my comment a moment ago in the colloquy with Frank, irrespective of one's political persuasion, I think we can all agree Catherine Hanaway is singularly unique in her qualifications to be Attorney General of Missouri. Period. Full stop. In terms of what the citizens of Missouri can expect, I think they can expect an Attorney General to discharge her duties exactly as you just said, Jill, similar to sort of the gold standard in the eyes of, I think, many, if not most Missourians, Jack Danforth, when he served as Missouri Attorney General. And we don't have to speculate, Jill. Among the other public service roles she has fulfilled for this state, she was the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri, the chief federal prosecutor, and did a magnificent job. Tough on crime, but fair, aggressive, but I think in the eyes of many reasonable. There are apparently, and again, I don't take sides on the issue, but I'm going to just point out, there are a lot of observers who have said the last 10 to 15 years that we have a lot of performance politicians. A lot of people have placed that label the last 10 plus years on the office of Missouri Attorney General. And those observers have called the office holders in that office in recent years performance or performative politicians. Whatever the veracity of any of those observations may be, again, we can be quite assured one day after her appointment by Governor Kehoe, Catherine Hanaway spells her last name beginning with H. She will not be a performance politician as Missouri Attorney General. She will, as the comedian Larry the Cable Guy would say, she's going to get her done.
All right, quick thought on the national stage. Trump, Putin, Trump, Zelensky, and the rest of the European leaders. So did you really need the B-2 bombers and the red carpet? Probably not. But what's the alternative? Don't bring them all together? I mean, the bottom line is the war going to end? So we're going to find out if this all worked. But it's almost like the famous line by Beano Cook when he said, if Stephanie Powers gets the seat right next to you on the airplane, you got to take a shot. Trump is taking a shot, and maybe he didn't need all these B-2 bombers and red carpets. But what do you think about what's happened in that 72-hour time span?
As you said in the lead-in, Frank, having worked in the White House, not over on the national security side with Brent Scowcroft and Henry Kissinger back in our day, but observed them applying their statecraft with President Ford. I am not about to criticize President Trump, Secretary Rubio, and others as to how they staged that 3 or 4 hours with Putin at Elmendorf Air Force Base. And I think for those who are being critical, I would urge them to just take maybe even a half step back, Frank, and say to themselves, this is, by any measure, a horrific war in Ukraine. And we all know, we don't have to debate it. We know who started it. But it's a war. And hundreds of thousands of people are being killed, and babies are being kidnapped and taken to Russia, and et cetera, et cetera. It's got to stop, Frank. And the prior ways of trying to encourage, cajole, browbeat, pressure Putin, they haven't worked. If the President of the United States, elected by the people of the United States, if he has made a judgment with his advisors that flying over a couple of B-2 bombers on the arrival may in some small measure facilitate it, good for him. Now, will it work? Well, time will tell. But recent history tells us, Frank, the so-called traditional methods of diplomacy, guess what? They did not. Whether this will, we will see, but there will be lots of critics of President Trump as to how this part of his presidency have been conducted. Do not include me among that group right now.
If you're just joining us, of course, KTRS legal analyst Greg Willard. He's also a professor of constitutional law at St. Louis University Law School. And the title, I believe, of the course is Constitutional Law and Presidential Powers.
Yes.
The president has been talking about maybe another executive order coming out as it relates to mail-in ballots and voting machines. This has been something, obviously, since the election that he lost has been a big source of frustration for him, and he promised to make changes, and he wants to do it in advance of the midterm elections. Can our president do what he's saying he wants to do?
Fasten your seatbelt, Jill and Frank. We're going to have a moment right now. You are going to get a straight answer from a lawyer, and the answer is no. The President of the United States does not have the power to order how presidential or other elections are conducted. Specifically, it is right there in the Constitution. Our listeners can go read it. Presidential elections, senatorial elections, congressional elections, they are run not by the federal government, Jill. They are run by the states. So when people hear about, well, the president's going to issue this executive order to ban machine balloting.
Because he says he's going to.
Oh, I'm
They're
sure.
not making it up.
But I think the trail of executive orders that our current president and several of his most recent predecessors, the trail of executive orders that have been entered with great falderall and ceremony that turned out to be a big nothing burger is really big. I will venture that that list will grow by at least one if President Trump enters an executive order purporting to order the banning of machine-counted ballots and the like.
Isn't it interesting that as a Republican and a somewhat conservative, the book on Republicans and somewhat conservatives are less government. And Trump's in the office, and he's doing more government.
Well,
it's like the opposite of what he should be doing in some cases.
And you've hit on a marvelous twofer, and that is the Republicans, back to 1856 and Abraham Lincoln 4 years later, it's less government and sort of pushing that field to the states. And Ronald Reagan was, we need to let the states deal with this. Yeah. Well, the states not only in Republican orthodoxy should be dealing with it, but that's where the United States Constitution says. But nevertheless, President Trump's, he's going to do what he's going to do. I assume that somehow the base, the so-called base, will like that. Well, okay, fine. But back to your question, Jill, it will have, in my judgment, zero legal or constitutional effect.
Along those lines, what if what he's doing in Washington, D.C. with the National Guard, and they're arresting all these people, what if that does work?
Well, if it does work, I think first and foremost, 50 governors and particularly Democratic governors, need to take a step back and say, can we learn something? Wouldn't that be something, Frank, for a politician to say, maybe we could learn something, or a Democratic politician to say they could learn something from Donald Trump? But if it works, certainly the governors of California, with Los Angeles and San Francisco, Illinois, Chicago, in terms of law enforcement and making our streets safer, particularly as children are going back to school in the next couple of weeks, that ought to be front and center in a discussion in those state capitals. Because, again, back to what we were just talking about a moment ago with Republican orthodoxy, National Guard, at their essence, at their core, Frank, those are state military units. The commanders-in-chief of the National Guard in those states, the commanders-in-chief are the governors, not the president.
Yeah.
Now, he can activate them, federalize them, but as we sit here this morning, the Missouri National Guard is under the command of the commanding general and Mike Kehoe, the governor of Missouri.
One legal question. The student financial aid to illegals by Governor Pritzker, can he do that, and is it a good idea?
As a matter of state student financial aid, I assume he has that power under either Illinois statutory law or his constitutional powers, or both. When it gets to the federal level, it begins to get a little more complicated, as Joe Biden, sadly for his supporters, found out with the student loans, Frank, and President Biden tried to cancel $450 billion with a B dollars in federal student loans, and was smacked down by the United States Supreme Court. In contrast, I don't think Governor Pritzker is going to get smacked down under Illinois state law as to students who either they or their parents are here in violation of federal immigration laws.
Great stuff as always. Professor Greg Willard, KTRS legal analyst. Very good to hear your insights today.
Thank you to both. I want to quickly just add one thing, very quickly. If any of our listeners in the next few weeks or months are in Columbia, Missouri, I would urge them to go 30 minutes early and go to the Missouri State Historical Society. There is a marvelous exhibit on the relationship between former United States Senators Jack Danforth and Tom Eagleton. It is professionally and wonderfully done, but it is a good lesson for what was and what could be. I would urge our listeners to take a look. It's worth 30 minutes.
When Democrats and Republicans really got along and had great relationships.
Precisely, Frank.
Old days. Yeah.
Precisely.
Thanks so much, Professor. Always great to have you. Somebody else who is a professor in his field, figuratively anyway, is our friend Ryan Raphael, the owner of Senior Insurance Benefits, but we all know him as the Medicare man. He's our friend here. He is just an incredibly caring, warm guy, lots of fun as well, and he is an absolute expert when it comes to all things related to Medicare, Advantage plans, supplements, what changes in them, what feels like almost monthly, the laws as they adjust. If you are turning 65, going on Medicare, retirement's approaching, or anyone else in your life is, write this name down. Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. He is a wealth of information. It's like having the most valuable consultant you could ever had on your team. And the best news of all, his advice is free under the law. His fees are paid by the insurance company. So you can get the best advice on getting the best plan for you at literally $0. Call him today. His cell phone number is 314-368-6808 or visit MedicareManSTL.com.
Beauty in Forest Park. Jersey Boys, the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, closes the Muni season in style through August 24th. Sponsored by Commerce Bank and Commerce Trust. For tickets, visit muni.org.
A legendary weekend is coming to the Lou. Don't miss the Stiefel Charity Classic presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Watch PGA Tour champions compete And enjoy a live performance by music sensation OAR at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StiefelCharityClassic.com.
You're finally ready to renovate your home. Riverbend Kitchen & More is your BBB accredited project partner that is attentive and responsive to your vision from concept to completion. Riverbend specializes in kitchens and baths, but also bars, bookcases, cabinetry, countertops, and more. They work with homeowners, contractors, and developers. Proud supplier of Waypoint Living Spaces cabinets, as well as other quality cabinetry lines. Financing is available, conveniently located in Soulard, Alton, and Mascoutah. Call 314-314-7411. Online at riverbendkm.com.
All right, so you're looking for a new front door, maybe to change the style up a little bit. Maybe you've got some windows that are leaking and aren't very energy efficient, and you'd like to get some new ones. And so you start looking for a window company. Let me tell you about my friend and my neighbor, Larry Thornton from the Window Store. He's been selling windows and doors in St. Louis for 37 years. He has access to all the quality windows and all the quality doors. And unlike so many other window companies, it's not a marketing game. Buy one, get the next 7 free. At the Window Store, you buy one window, you get one window. But when you compare apples to apples, right, you'll notice that the Window Store has much better pricing. There is no hard sell. They're not going to stand in the middle of your living room demanding you sign on the dotted line. For 37 years, they've beat everybody on quality, on price, on customer service. If you need windows or doors, that's why you need to call my neighbor, Larry, or his son, Joe, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
One of the great things about living in St. Louis are the great hospitals, and none better than Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. It is a special place, and if you don't believe me, talk to any parent who's had a child who was treated at Cardinal Glennon, and you will see the pride in their face. So, for all of the doctors and nurses and staff at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, we thank you for all the work you do day in and day out. To find out more about SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, glennon.org. That's glennon.org.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Stiefel Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids. To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126. The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Cloud Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
Inland Marine Boats in Barnhart has been serving your boating needs for 38 years. Hi, I'm Ryan at Inland Marine, your Mercury Marine dealer. Remember, you only get 18 summers with your kids. Make the most of them with a boat. InlandMarineBoats.com.
The Bomarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory of over 12,000 vehicles today at Bomarito.com.
Want a song?
You're on my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
I heard from a few people that Rod Stewart still has it. He played out at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater a few days ago, and the crowd loved him. Tons of energy. Temperature was sizzling hot. Didn't seem to bother him at all. So I thought it'd be fun if we listened to his first big hit from back in 1971. Single was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. It's regarded as Stewart's signature song, one of the best songs ever written. He says it was the ambivalence of the contradictory emotions of a boy involved in a relationship with an older woman, specifically the first time he was ever with anyone. And he said the woman's name was not Maggie May, but that was taken from the name of an old Liverpudlian song about a prostitute. He just liked the way it sounded.
Yeah, I read an article about him in, is it ARP? What's it called? Mm-hmm. Yes. And 80 years old, still works out every day, in incredible shape. Have you ever seen him in concert?
I have a couple of times, and I thought it was great. It's been a while, but I really, really like him.
Did you, at the concert you went to, did he do any kicking of the soccer balls?
Yep. Yeah, he did. And the first time I saw him, he was still married to Rachel Hunter. Yeah. And there were pictures of their young kids and chasing around. He talked actually quite a bit about soccer at that concert. It's definitely his first love, as he describes it, right up there with music. We talked a little bit with Greg Willard, and it's been top of the news the last couple, yesterday and today. And no surprise that Missouri Republicans are lauding Governor Mike Kehoe's decision to appoint Catherine Hanaway as the new Attorney General. And many Democrats are, too. On Fox 2's Hancock and Kelly segment, where Republican John Hancock and Democrat Michael Kelly sound off on political issues, here's what Michael Kelly had to say about the appointment of Catherine Hanaway. Yeah, those guys. It's always fun to watch those two well-spoken, both John Hancock and Michael Kelly. So I thought it's always good when you have people agreeing on anything in this day and age to some degree.
What a resume too for her. When you're a United States attorney, you're a Speaker of the Missouri House of Reps, you're a member of the Missouri House of Reps, and now Attorney General. An incredible career at a great law firm like Hush Blackwell.
Well, and that U.S. attorney role, it's really, right up there, right next to state Supreme Court in terms of really understanding the law. And I think that's a really good attribute to have in our attorney general, as somebody who has a lot of experience.
As Senator Eric Schmidt, who was an attorney general, was asked recently about what job is like more powerful, that or a United States senator. And I think he made a case for at least being even, or may even said the attorney general of the state was even
Which
more
is
powerful.
because he took a different perspective on the way he switched gears from a lot of his predecessors, and we can ask him about that tomorrow when he's going to be on the show. Make sure you make your appointment to tune in for that here on the Frank and Jill Show, along with our Radiothon tomorrow. Also, make an appointment to get a delicious lunch today. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery is the place where you're going to want to get it. So good. Of course, you drive by it all the time. Hopefully, you've already stopped in. You maybe even got gas at the gas station at that Phillips 66 station, Clayton Road and 141. Delicious barbecue, delicious dishes made with barbecue. Things like pork belly wraps, the cluckerito still on the menu, so delicious. The saucy rib sandwich where they pull the rib meat off and make it into an absolutely outstanding sandwich. Side dishes are great, but nothing can beat the incredible items on their bakery list. Carol Gross is a fantastic baker, loves food, and it's just a great place to grab lunch, to cater your next party, to pick up dinner, to bring home for tonight as well. Check them out at 3baybarbecueandbakery.com.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. An isolated storm or two possible into the early evening. Those will fade with sunset and then a low of 73. We break the heat wave with a high of 87 on Wednesday. It is still a bit muggy, heat index to around 90, but again, much better than what we've been dealing with the past 5 days. And then on Thursday, partly cloudy skies and a high of 85 degrees, a few degrees below normal. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Bill Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Are you or a family member needing to sell your home? Then call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties. I will buy your home in any condition and always as is. Call me at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. No contingencies, no inspections, just cold hard cash. I'll save you time and money. So make that call now and let me buy your house. RobankProperties.com. That's ROBANG Properties.com.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have two locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text LEGAL66 to 323232. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Bob Ramsey for AAA Home Services, a local, family-owned and family-run American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning Platinum dealer that's been keeping St. Louis comfortable and safe for 55 years. They service all brands, so schedule them to service your AC before it gets too hot. And if you need a new system, they'll give you a fair and honest estimate on American Standard, voted #1 by Consumer Reports. You'll get the best pricing and tax credits of 2025. Call AAA at 636-397-3200, online at AAASTL.com. Call AAA. We're on our way.
Welcome back, everybody. Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy here as well. Have you heard of this thing called the Silver Tsunami? It's reshaping America, literally, as baby boomers retire. An estimated 83%, that's a big number, of the roughly 4 million businesses owned by baby boomers are expected to change hands over the next 5 to 10 years. That creates a massive opportunity for people who want to get into business and buy new businesses. And a lot of those baby boomers are discovering that maybe the next generation of people in their families are not interested in taking over the businesses, which is when things do change hands. And here to talk about this and a few other things, we are lucky to have Justin Steer and Rochelle Kahneman here. You guys Signature Kitchen and Bath, everybody's heard about it for a long time, but you are the new owners representing part of that silver tsunami change. Is that right, Justin?
Yeah, and first of all, thanks for having us. Really excited to be here.
Thank you.
The part that we discovered was there's over 10,000 baby boomers retiring a day.
Wow.
You know, and so many of them are business owners and small business owners. And if you can't sell the business, the other option is closure. And so we were really excited to continue the legacy and the brand of Signature Kitchen and Bath, and hopefully we can carry it for another 40 years.
And isn't it true on the kitchen and bath, if you do that to your home, you always get it back? I mean, it's like a great financial move.
Kitchens and baths are definitely probably the best move you can make. I do a lot of renovations. I also own K-Build Design, and so there's a lot of things that can be done to a house. Your most valuable pieces are going to be your kitchen and your bathroom to add that value. Now, I would say like immediately, you might not be able to turn. It depends on your house, but you might not be able to turn and get the exact value back out. But there's always value of enjoyment whenever you get to do those spaces in your house. Like, what woman walks into her freshly renovated kitchen and doesn't have butterflies every single morning? I don't know that lady.
Sure, for sure. And as you and the bathroom as well. I have to say, I've made the mistake twice now of having my dream kitchen and bathroom right before I sold my house, and I've always sworn
it's the tragedy.
which was great for the value, and it really helped with the resale. But I lost a little bit of that enjoyment that you're talking about.
So many people, they talk about, renovating their houses, to be prepared for the move, and they'll be projecting for like, what is that going to cost and the timing of the move? And I always encourage you to give yourself time to enjoy it.
Well, what's like something really cool and exotic you're doing with baths now, with bathrooms?
One fun thing is putting a bathtub inside of a shower to have more of a wet room.
Really?
And so that's not for every house, but that is something that's different. And
Steam showers. I'm learning all about steam showers. That's a hot trend. Towel warmers.
I
Frank? I'll get you a towel warmer for sure.
Towel warmer. That is a really good touch. Yeah.
I just finished my basement, and I did a steam shower and did the tub in like the whole wet room and made it a steam shower.
How about the heated floors? Are those
very popular as well, especially in those January and February months? It's a great way to make it a little bit easier to walk into that bathroom in the morning.
And Justin, you've traded out sort of the boardroom for countertops, so to speak. And how has it been fun for you to switch gears into this business?
Yeah, and we talked about that silver tsunami. And for me, after 20 years in the corporate world, I was ready to invest in something a little more local, something I could have a little more autonomy with. And this presented a partnership with Rochelle to say, hey, here's a business that we could buy. We could keep the doors open. We could keep the jobs in St. Louis and maybe kind of really change the trajectory of the business. So great legacy with Signature Kitchen and Bath, amazing brand, but we're excited to take it to the next level. So it's been a lot of different hats, Jill, to answer your question. I don't know what I'm going to deal with every day when I walk in, but I'm never bored.
Welcome to owning a business.
And part of your background is the golf world.
Yeah, sports world too, Frank. I was lucky enough to spend time at Winghaven Country Club. I was able to work for the Blues and the Cardinals before I spent 20 years at Verizon. And that's sports marketing background. Justin? I will not reveal that today.
He's not a baby boomer. He swears he's not.
But all along those stops along the way, you learn about the customer experience. You learn about what it's like to run a retail store. And I've been able to transition a lot of those traits to the new business.
And so, Rochelle, do you find that a lot of times when people do the kitchen and the bath and they say, and now I want to do the next thing as well, what's the trend right now for people in their homes?
What I'm seeing right now is because of the interest rates, so many people are staying where they're at. And so they're not moving, whereas typically, in years past, we would be looking at new houses and what are we going to do to them? What do we want to change to make it our own? And it might have just been a kitchen or a bathroom. Whereas right now with interest rates, a lot of people are staying put with where they're at. And so they're putting those dollars into their house instead of losing it over an increased home payment every month. And so they might start with a kitchen or a bathroom. I see a lot of people, they'll like pick off that big thing first. And then they'll, there are other things in a house that need to be done. And so it's really dependent on that customer and it's relative to where they're at. So you could just localize it to one space in your house, or we work with people and go ahead and lay the hardwood floors through the house while we're doing it at the same time. While they're taken apart, just take it all apart and put it back together. But it's situational to every house and, the capacity of what you can handle, because when your house is taken apart, how much of it, can you deal with at the same time?
So COVID was good for the business, right? Because people weren't spending money on travel, or am I reading that wrong?
There are challenges, a lot of challenges that came from it because mostly in construction, like prices went up.
Okay.
And so that's a huge supply
issues,
chain issue. And but what I found through COVID or following COVID was it affected more new builds than what it did renovations. And so even today, we're in a much stronger standing point to do a renovation in a house. I've been in this industry for 25 years. And basically, you see kind of prices increase over just regularly over 20 years. That's stayed the same for the flooring and the cabinets and the interior products for a renovation. Where it had changed dramatically was on everything for raw building.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the ticket, is to stick with renovating inside of that space to have it the most for your renovation money. Whereas I have people call me every day about building houses, and it doesn't make as much sense right now.
And Frank, to answer your question too on the COVID part, at Signature, we're having people come in all the time. I'm at my house now all the time still, right? I work from home.
Oh, yeah.
I want to have something nice to walk into everyone, even if it's an office at home or a kitchen at home. So we're getting a lot of that feedback, too, with people being at home still.
And Justin Steer from Signature Kitchen and Bath, we talked a little bit before about this idea that obviously it's cool to when you take on a new business, to take on one that has an excellent customer service record and good satisfaction of customers. And what you guys can bring to it maybe that wasn't there before is the advanced technology that's changing constantly in this industry.
Joe, that's a great point. I mean, AI is starting to play a role in our everyday operations, digital marketing, different store experiences when people walk in. All that's changing
The design
right in front of
side
us.
of things technologically, it's so much easier for me to visualize what could be now thanks
Right.
to
I mean,
that.
you're taking pictures with cameras, and then you're turning around having renderings, seconds later, which is really impressive.
Got about a minute left. Rochelle, what percentage of people that come in have an idea, or are you doing the whole thing in terms of this is how I think we can make it work? I mean, people really don't have a clue on how they really want it done, right?
The simplest thing is that you can go on websites like Houzz, Houzz, or Pinterest and find a picture of an inspiration. Because people, while they don't know exactly what they want for their house, they can find a picture of what they love. They just can't picture it. And so our staff at Signature is amazing at being able to sift through and see what is it that you love, what's that design look that you love, and then being able to make it come to fruition. So it's the best thing is to come in with a concept that you love, and then we're able to bring it to make it a reality.
Justin and Rochelle, thanks so much. You've given us a lot of cool things to think about. Signature Kitchen and Bath, part of the Silver Tsunami. That was a new term to me. I'm glad to
Riding that wave.
have learned it. Riding the wave for sure. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau. See what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Electricity is very important because if you don't have electricity, you're sitting in the dark in more ways than one. And when the lights go out for one last time, maybe, just maybe, you want a whole home generator. Well, that's where Michael Baldy comes in, because Michael Baldy can do that. He's putting in a whole home generator for a friend of mine on the hill. Whether you live on the hill or a brand new home, at some point you're going to need some electrical help, and that's where Michael Baldy comes in. He's been an electrician since 1996, and he has a full team of electricians who will help you every single step of the way, whether it's a whole home generator, maybe some extra plugs for the Christmas lights, maybe it's something in the basement, something in the attic, maybe the garage, doesn't matter. Whether it's an old Victorian home or a brand new commercial building, indoor or out, Michael Baldy, the electrician, has got to be on your phone. Put him on your speed dial, 314-968-9999, 314-968-9999. You can thank me later. Michael Baldy, BaldyElectric.com.
Since 1974, Permajack of St. Louis has been helping residential and commercial owners protect their biggest investment. From successfully solving foundation structural problems to making sure basements remain dry, Permajack has performed tens of thousands of projects on both sides of the river, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, techniques, and equipment. Permajack of St. Louis has done it with honesty and integrity, never recommending anything outside of what you really need. For many repairs, Permajack provides a transferable life of structure warranty, all while Permajack of St. Louis has earned a BBB A+ rating and accreditation for foundation settlement, bowed or buckling walls, cracks in your foundation, walls or bricks, or basement waterproofing. Choose the hometown family-owned team at Permajack of St. Louis. Schedule your free inspection and estimate at permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, solid as rock.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids. To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126. The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Cloud Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
Welcome back. Frank Cusmano, these 2 hours absolutely flew by. Would you agree?
Yes, really good show. Great to have Sarah Fensky and Professor Willard on. They are just 2 of our favorite guests.
Yep, they hit the headlines and give perspective, and you're usually going to hear something it's going to make you think a little bit more. What do you have coming up on the press box tonight?
We are going to talk with Dr. Bill Draghi, one of the great long drivers our town has ever known, and he's helping St. Louis University baseball by bringing in Jose Canseco next week at Olive & Oak. There's still some tickets available. You can call SLU for tickets, and then we'll talk with Andy Strickland and Charles Toon Edwards about basically nothing.
Well, here's something we wanted to tell you about, because it's definitely going to be worth sticking around for, tuning in for tonight. And on the Heidi Show, JFK Jr. biographer, new CNN doc about John. I have to admit, I am going to watch the Dallas Cowboys one that you recommended from Netflix from earlier in the show today. I saw it yesterday. I thought about it last night, watched something else instead, but I'll check that out. But the new CNN doc about John promises to be intriguing and interesting, looking at, I think it begins to ask the questions, what would have happened, in politics and in life? Would he have potentially even been president material?
So at the time, he had the magazine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he doing anything else?
He was sort of beginning to become part of public policy conversations in ways that people within his life and family were saying, maybe it's time for you to think about what your public service legacy is. Again, it's all supposition at this point, because unfortunately he died young. But that's part of, I think, some of the questions that are being raised in this conversation.
It is amazing when you think about it too. The famous people who have died in plane crashes in small private planes. I mean, you think Patsy Cline and Otis Redding and Buddy Holly and Rocky Marciano and Jim Croce. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it doesn't happen as often as it used to, thank goodness, as things improve. And what a tragedy for
Kobe,
the Bissett family, who his wife, of course, JFK Jr.'s wife and sister, both lost in that plane crash. So I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be fun to hear that on of course, the Heidi Glaus show with Josh and Bob a little bit on today. Lots of good stuff coming up on the Carney Show tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. It's Radiothon. We have a ton of fun guests. Lots of interesting things talking about how you can make a difference in helping to serve cancer patients and help cure cancer, things that are happening right here in the St. Louis area. And then, of course, Senator Eric Schmidt. He's written a new book. He's going to join us to talk about what his career in public service has been like and what he wants people to know in this tantalizing book that he has recently published.
You know, along the lines of this book, it's unbelievable how many books have been written about John F. Kennedy Jr. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6. So I'm wondering, I'm anxious to hear the interview. I'm wondering how this book is going to be different. Do you know the angle or the hook to it?
I do not, other than to know that I think there was a relationship with the CNN. It'll be talking about what the big thing is, the CNN doc, and how it connects and relates to that, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that'll do it for this edition of the program. Coming up next, it'll be John Carney and Julie Buck. We will take a break, and we'll be back in 22 hours.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation. In a